All right, so let's break this down from the verbal aspect. Look at what I said, what she said, what it all meant, why I said what I said, the tactics employed, all of that. Should be interesting. Oh shit, I thought you were like a big group. I thought you were like a family over here.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. All right.
Oh man, you look all so much more like professional and worky than last time I saw you. Yeah. Maybe this way. Maybe just go with like, maybe go through here. You can go through here. It'll work. Oh man. So how was the office? Wasn't bad? It was pumping here actually. Actually, do you want to go inside or you want to go out on the patio? Inside or out on the patio?
Is it warm?
I think there's heat lamps. So it's moderate. If you're at all cold, we'll go inside. Let's go inside. Or we'll stay inside. Madame, I will be your maitre d'. Any insinuants? I would just, I would take care of you. This evening, you're in my capable hands.
I will do gin and tonic.
Gin and tonic?
Yeah.
You have a very cute laugh, by the way. I said you have a very cute laugh, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Did I laugh already? I didn't even notice.
Yeah, well, I'm usually boring, so I'll take what I can get. Gin and tonic?
Gin and tonic. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, done. I'll be right back.
Thank you.
So two things I want to point out about that. First is, mostly it's just get to know you talking, just the start of the date, but I am flirting a little bit. But the flirtation, this is what I'm pointing out, is not thrown in as a big deal. It's not like I make this statement and then I'm waiting for a response and seeing. It's like, yeah, you have a very cute expression, by the way, or you make very cute looks, by the way, or whatever it is I said. Just as a thrown-off gesture within the overall interaction. It's not a big deal. It's not a focus in any way, shape, or form. And the second is, I'm usually boring, so I'll take what I can get, right? Implication being that I'm by no means boring. I'm incredibly interesting, and you're silly to have done, to even think such a thing, right? But I don't say it in the positive, I say it in the negative, because by saying it in the negative, it's not try hard, right? You'll notice this theme over and over and over again, how to convey the qualities without being try hard. Hey, can we do a gin and tonic and then an amaretto sour?
No amaretto.
Okay, in that case, do you have like raspberry, actually do a Dirty Shirley?
You said what?
Dirty Shirley? Like a Shirley Temple with vodka?
Sure.
Yeah. So in a moment, you're gonna have to explain to me exactly what it is you do, because I am...
Well, I am reading work emails.
Are you really? Oh my god.
I'm always...
Alright. So I'm going to take that to me, and I just asked about your work, and your implication is it's going to get messy. Got it.
No.
So that right there has nothing to do with game. That's not like some crazy tactic. It's just wordplay for the sake of wordplay. However, there is value in that. One of my friends has a theory that he basically says the fact that you can be witty around the girl shows that you're not nervous and that you have that agility of mind available to you, which is a high value trait. Maybe that's true, or maybe just being smart in and of itself is attractive. Also, just maybe making your conversation a little more interesting is worthwhile, right? One of the first books I ever read that helped me in game was actually not even a book about game, it was a book about radio interviewing and conversation in general. And there's a whole chapter in there that was called Find Your Wrinkles, meaning add little wrinkles of interestingness to the conversation. Say the same thing 5% more interesting. Know some good cool quotes, that kind of stuff. All of these things that you do to just make yourself a better, more interesting speaker, they make a little bit of difference. It's not a big difference, so 1% here, 1% there, but 1% adds up over and over and over again. So just enjoying language, enjoying wordplay, being witty, doing things like writing down good quotes that you like, doing things like when you watch comedians that you like writing down their jokes or writing down the structure of their jokes so that you're more attuned and more primed to notice the humor in things. Things like I took an improvisational comedy class, things like that. They all help your game indirectly by helping your ability to use your words and by helping your ability towards humor.
So I work for... It's fun. I love it. Now what do you do?
Now what do I do? I'm still curious about you, but okay. I do a bunch of different stuff.
I heard you travel a lot.
I do travel a bit, yes. So I started as a professional poker player. Made some amount of money doing that. Rolled that into an investment business, and then while I was kind of getting that going, I did sort of like a media business where I did videos, publishing, marketing a little bit, that kind of stuff. So now I kind of do the investing and then the media stuff here and there. The investing's the main thing going forward, but the media and marketing stuff's good because it allows the travel. So it's like, hey, I want to go to Europe. Let me just arrange an event in Europe and then we can go. Or I want to go to San Francisco, same kind of thing. What I want you to notice about this is how uninterested I seem in it, okay? So if you want to say something really, really amazing that's really braggy that you might want to be showing off, first of all, get her to ask you about it, which I've done. Second of all, say it like it's no big deal and you wish you weren't even talking about it. Like you wish it was over, you wish you were past it, right? And actually, this is exactly how truly rich, successful people talk about a lot of their job stuff because they don't like talking about it. They hate people always wanting to know about it and people wanting them for that reason and not for themselves and that kind of stuff. So one is, notice how bored and blasé I sound during this little segment you just listened to. Second one, and this is like just a subtle verbal thing. You see how I said like I played poker and I made some amount of money in that doing that, and then I rolled it into this other thing, right? Some amount of money. What does that sound like? It sounds like you don't want to brag about how much money it is, because given the context that you used it to start another business, it's obviously not I made $10 doing it. You know what I mean? It's some like implication, some large amount of money, right? But some amount of money is the way of not bragging but implying. And in this case, the amount I made playing poker, the amount I saved from playing poker wasn't so huge. So I'm actually making it sound bigger than it even was. And also I'm making it sound like I'm being humble. So just the way that I'm using my words, the way that I'm using my tone of voice is conveying so much in terms of the undertone and how she's going to perceive what I'm saying. So, it's an interesting, you have the most adorable, like, blushy face right now. Yeah. But it's good though. It's sort of a lifestyle business in the sense that it makes, it's not the most lucrative it could be, but it definitely makes for a good, fun life. And then the finance stuff is, that's kind of the financial end game.
If you have fun and you love what you do, then does it matter?
I think I can say yes to those. Yeah.
How was
everywhere.
Yeah.
Did you travel a bit, or are you just like, you're like the I long to travel, or the I have traveled a bit, or what's the?
I'll get there.
I'll get there. How old are you again?
23.
All right.
What are you?
You're like youngish. The opposite?
Yeah.
What, 32? That's an opposite now? That's cute. You're close. That's something I've alluded to before, but I want you to notice again how non-linear my conversation is. She's asking very direct, logical, linear questions. I'm answering by talking about it for a little bit, then changing the subject, then changing the subject again, then going on to something, turning it back on her, then maybe getting back around to it, right? It's not this straightforward, like, you ask a question, I answer. You ask a question, I answer. It's very much more fluid than that. It's very all over the place. One word for this is multiple thread theory, which is if you're talking about a bunch of different things at once, there's always something to say, so you never run out of things to say. It's also more interesting, more intriguing, that sort of a thing. The way I look at it is, if you were to stay up all night talking with your best friend and someone asked you in the morning, what did you talk about? You probably didn't talk about one thing. You probably talked about 10 or 20 or 30 different things. And that's what a good conversation is. Good conversation is not an interview. A good conversation is not logical and linear. And it's okay to interrupt yourself. It's okay to interrupt her. It's okay to be a little ADD and all over the place. It's okay to go with your stream of consciousness. But a lot of guys don't do this in particular. Girls tend to do it more than guys, but for whatever reason on a date, you tend to like get in that very logical guy sort of format. Maybe because the girl's nervous, maybe the girl feels like that's what's socially acceptable, I don't know. But break free of that. Break free of thinking that you have to finish every sentence and every thought, and break free of thinking that you can't just interrupt at any time and that you can't loop back around on different ideas, and break free of thinking that you can't just go off on tangents all the time, because you totally can. And not only can you, you should. Actually.
35.
Oh, you went up instead of down. I'm offended. It was really nice meeting you. You should go.
What is it?
Huh? 34. Yeah, I give
It was
you
like
shit
one
for
of
like
the-
almost being right. I expected like, well, the funny thing is most people say like 27 for
Yeah.
me, or 28.
I mean, I wouldn't think that you were 34, but I remember you telling me before. I couldn't remember exactly what it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So continue with your adventures.
It's kind of all over the place.
Definitely all over the place.
Yeah, I literally don't know what to do with you. You're like very adorable. Like you're, I don't know. You just like smile and laugh at everything. You either like have nothing to say, or you like have a very happy demeanor. I'm not quite sure which. You're like,
Both.
oh, like yeah.
Bro.
All right. Fair
No,
enough.
I'm just kidding.
If I were to name that format, I would call that a push-pull mini cold read. And actually, I do that a lot, right? If you think about it, right? It's not like you're so cute, but you're so weird. I don't do a lot of those kind of push-pulls. Really, I do some. I guess I do a lot. But more often, even I do this push-pull mini cold read format where it's like I think you're this, but you also seem to be that, or something a little deeper. Not something as superficial as like a one-liner push-pull. It's more of a push-pull of my entire opinion of them, or a push-pull of frames, right? You seem like you're coming from this viewpoint, but you could also be coming from this viewpoint. Or at first I viewed you in this way, and now I view you in this way. So it's a little deeper version of a push-pull. I just want to make that point, because people are very simplistic about what they think like a push-pull is. And push-pull is just any time where there's a variety of emotional content. It's not a very set format. It doesn't have to be a positive and negative in the same sentence, anything like that. So these kind of extended push-pulls, I actually really like them. And they seem kind of less gamey than the shorter push-pulls as well, and they're probably more effective.
I'm just always happy. Happy, smiling, positive.
Not a bad way to be.
No.
It's definitely better than the alternative. If you showed up and you were like all downer and like miserable and grumpy and like crying, I'd be like, well, sorry.
See you later.
Yeah, so yeah, this work thing came up. I didn't want to like leave you hanging. It's been so, but I guess you really gotta go. I hope you don't hate me. Listen, rain check for never.
Forever. That's a good one.
So obviously the fake breakup. I've mentioned that in other clips. Disqualifying in general, very powerful, etc. What I want to point out verbally here is the rhythm that I'm talking at, which is I'm slowing down a little bit. And as I'm doing this, I'm looking at her. I'm assessing her reaction because I'm essentially exaggerating, right? This is an exaggeration. It's an exaggeration joke. And so as I'm exaggerating, I'm doing it slowly, and I'm watching her, and I'm trying to see how far I should take the exaggeration. If she's enjoying it, I'll maybe take it a layer further. And if she's enjoying that, maybe I'll take it a layer further. If I think it's too much, like she's getting like overstimulated, like she's giggling too much and it's too silly, maybe I'll back it off. Or if she like gets like suddenly went from being very good to like not as into it or not engaged as much, then maybe I'll back it off and change the topic. And this is how I calibrate a lot of things. I calibrate escalation the same way, by slowing down. So whenever I'm doing something risky, right, whether it's escalating, exaggerating, maybe something extremely polarizing, I might say it very slowly and watch her reaction as I'm saying it, because that allows me to know the level to which I can get away with doing it. It's kind of similar to, I talk about with physicality, invisible escalation, which is escalate a little bit. If she likes it, escalate a little more, a little more, a little more. So none of the steps are such a big deal that they can be rejected individually. This is like invisible escalation of the verbal variety. I feel like I just turned on sales girl in you right now. You're like, oh, we have a variety of features. You can check column A, column B. You see actually, you just turned into like, Vanna White, like the however old she is now, 70-year-old Wheel of Fortune girl.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I don't know how to separate work.
Like, yes, we have 3 E's.
There you go.
Oh, you've seen the show? It's
Yeah.
good. I'm surprised that show's still on. That show was on when I was a freaking 4-year-old.
Yeah, it's still on. I don't know who watches, but they're obviously getting ratings.
I just love it that they haven't changed the girl and like that. Seriously, that girl is like, I don't know. I haven't watched it recently, but if you can still stay looking good at like 70 or however old she must be by now.
I think there's a new girl up there.
Really?
I think there's a new girl.
You know what they probably did? They named some new girl Vanna White, and then they just like, oh, we still have Vanna White.
she's. Yeah, I think there's a new girl up there.
I'm actually curious. This is the dumbest thing to Google because it doesn't really matter, but I'm actually just genuinely curious right now.
No, I research everything that I don't know. I want to know something, I research.
How old is? Oh, she's not 70. She's 60. So I guess it's not that bad. 59 years old. Still, for being like a spokesmodel on TV,
Yeah.
not so bad. I mean, Vanna White, Hillary Clinton, both. Oh wait, no, she's 69. Never mind. That's 10 years different. Maybe in 10 years she'll look
Yeah,
like Hillary
but-
Clinton. Who knows? Sorry.
You drink fast. I'm a slow drinker.
Take your time. It's better that way. That way, you won't be able to get me drunk and take advantage of me. It's much better.
I'll down it in like 2 minutes.
Oh shit, girls got plans. I mean, I like you. I think you're cute too. But like, let's get to know each other a little bit, please. So this is obviously misinterpretation, right? Misinterpreting one thing to mean something either flattering or sexual. Obviously, it's a format that I use a ton if you watch through these sets and through the dates in particular, etc. What I want to point out here is her response to it, which is that she's going along with it, right? Oftentimes you misinterpret and she doesn't react that much, and that's fine too. If you misinterpret something, anything other than blatant resistance of the frame on her part is a good response. And even that can be okay if it's a shit test and you can pass it. But anything just non-rejection of the frame is all you really need or all you're looking for. That's a good response. In this case, this is the ideal response where she actually like goes along and feeds into the frame. That's insane. Like that, when that happens, you know you're in. But even if she doesn't resist, that's all you need. You don't need actually for her to go along or appreciate it. You just need for her to not come into conflict.
Oh, you're funny. So,
You look so thoughtful right now. Like the hamster's like running around really, really fast on the wheel.
oh gosh. So you have like employees. Like, what do they do?
And they're all my like really good friends. That's the best part of it, is like I get to employ my very good friends and hang out with them and whatnot, but also like help them like lift them up where they belong and such.
That's good. Friends that help friends get ahead.
I feel like okay, so funny thing about me. So I'm not the most like nice to strangers, but once you're like in the circle, you're like in the circle for life. If that makes sense. And I will like
Nice to strangers.
I didn't say I'm not nice. I'm not the nicest. Like I'm not mean to strangers, but I don't go out of my way for strangers. But for people like in my like my circle, I will like go to the ends of the earth for them. I feel like it's a trade-off, right? Because the time I don't spend going out of my way for strangers, I can go out of my way for like friends and family and people I really care about. Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. That's my excuse for just being a global asshole. It's fine.
I mean,
I'm kidding.
I'm nice to you.
You're nice to all people, is that what you said? That's,
But when I'm working, I don't micromanage, but
wait, do you have like people
I
that
am kind of like a.
do you have people that answer to you?
But if I tell you to do something and then you don't do it right, I make you do it all over again.
That's how it's going to be between us, huh?
Maybe. Maybe not. Because I told you already.
I was about to say the most inappropriate thing, but I just wanted to say because it was clever.
Say it.
You're insatiable. It's a good thing I'm good.
Oh, gosh, God.
Obviously, another example of misinterpretation, this time sexual. And I mentioned this in actually the other layers because it was just a very obvious lesson. But again, note how I didn't just come out with it, I made her ask me for it. So I kind of used what we call an open loop, right? That's what it is when you start to say something and then don't, or you indicate you're going to say something but you didn't. It makes them chase it, it makes them ask for it, it makes them get more invested, and it also, again, excuses your sort of like liability in saying it because they asked for it. Technique's called an open loop, tremendously, tremendously valuable. In fact, when I used to do canned game, like structured game and routines, most people tried to hook through attraction, through like a bunch of buying temperature spikes. I actually used the open loop as one of the fundamental ways that I would hook a girl's attention. So it's something I use a ton.
What's your last name?
What's my last name? You always wondered it?
Yes, because I always put last names in my phone.
I think you told me that when we met too. I think I intentionally was like, nope, you'll have to like get to know me as a person. I was like, no, you have to get to know me as a person. I was like, I want to be known as me.
You put Todd B.
There you go.
What is it?
It's my last name, B.
No, it's
That's my last initial.
It's a good thing I don't have another Todd in my phone.
Well, if you ever get another Todd, if you happen to get a Todd better than me, you better marry him immediately, because it doesn't exist. But if you did, yeah. I'm like the benchmark. If you ever find anyone better than me, you found the best. Well, I'm not claiming I'm the best, I'm just claiming that anyone better than me would be the best. So you can imply from that whatever you'd like.
Okay. I'll take it and I'll think about it.
Alright. So I have to, I literally, well, I'll let you drink. I have to do this though. I have to like,
touch it?
like I have to, yes, I have to feel what this is all about because it's such unusual. Okay.
What? It's a new
I'm done feeling you up now. Huh?
What?
No, it's just because it has like the interesting pieces and stuff. I was curious like what it like.
Oh, no, it's like,
I thought it was gonna be like really like extremely puffy and like extremely warm actually.
no, it's just very obnoxious.
Alright. So it's a little unique and obnoxious.
Yeah.
So it suits you.
I'm unique but obnoxious.
So more sort of, this is a different kind of misinterpretation. It's a misconstruing. I'm kind of misinterpreting by analogy, sort of like the whole like people's pets become like them. So her scarf became like her kind of idea. The point I want to make here, most of the teasing I'm doing is not like a canned line I learned somewhere, right? It's not like this, this is not a canned line. I've never said that before. And you couldn't ever plan something like that out because you're never going to get the exact scenario to use it. Where is the teasing coming from then? The teasing in this case is coming from paying attention to what she's saying. It's coming from truly listening, right? It's coming to listening to literally what she's saying, what's the implication of what she's saying, and then also listening to like the words themselves and like the richness of the language of what she's saying. Like, could this word mean something else? Or is this thing a metaphor in my head? But it's not like I'm, planning ahead what to say. My teases and my lines, they're coming from deep listening. They're coming from truly paying attention and being immersed in the conversation, and then just being familiar with the different formats. So the way that it's going to come up is you practice the formats, you practice drill, practice drill, practice drill, practice drill, kind of like the exercises that are in Opening Mastery, look through those. Get really good with them, get competent with them, and then just pay deep attention, and the opportunities are going to present themselves.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
No.
It's really nice. I just want to point out that phrase, just be you or just do you. I pointed it out in one of the other breakdowns as well. Massively, massively, massively useful. Because on the one hand, it gives them permission to relax and open up and be themselves. On the other hand, if anything, it's making them insecure because it makes them feel like they were trying to win you over. It sets the frame that they've been trying to impress you. So it's very, very good frame control. It's very, very good for establishing what is the nature of the dynamic between you and them. Because if they've been trying to impress you, clearly you're the higher value one, clearly they like you, right? So at the same time, it's like value and comfort at the same time. It's a really, really great line, like just do you, or relax, just be yourself, that kind of a thing. I use that line quite a bit in a situation where I feel like the girl already likes me a little bit, but I want to solidify it, or I want to like kind of emphasize and exaggerate and make her like me more. Yeah, I'm sure you have to get up early in the morning, so I think you should probably head home to wherever it is you live, and yeah. I want you to know. I want you to know it was really wonderful meeting you. It's not you, it's me. I'm just really. I mean, you're still looking great. You look like you're in shape and everything. You've been, you're in the gym. You're good. Oh, you like flex for me. Let's see.
No, I have no muscle.
You just did like a second ago. You're like, I'll do it, just not on command.
No, my upper body, like I don't have any like arm strength. If that's
all right.
word. No, I really don't.
No.
It looks like it. But
It's like
really
you've seen like the Bugs Bunny cartoons where he flexes and it goes like down. And you're like,
That's me. Only the flab isn't there. But yeah, I don't have any.
nice. I just got the most not sexy picture of your arm. Another form of tease, I don't really know the name for this, but it's something I do a lot, which is I point out when they did something unsexy, or point out when they did something that made a bad image in my head, that kind of stuff, right? I guess it's a disqualifier in a way. It's kind of a neg, kind of a disqualifier. It's almost like a desexualizer, if you think of it that way. But in any case, it's good. It baits them to want to qualify themselves to me. So I'm like, oh, I just got like the most unsexy image of your arm in my head, something like that, right? It's not a direct insult because it's related to something they just said, right? It's not directly at them. It's more of a tease on what they said, so it's not quite as personal. But because they did say that thing, they opened themselves up to an insult on physicality. Most of the time, by the way, I will never insult someone directly on physicality. I won't say you have a weird nose or you're fat, or, well, first of all, if they have weird noses and fat, I don't usually pick them up. But I will never like say negative. They're like, you have, whatever feature, this, that, or the other. But in a context like this, it actually opens that up as an okay thing to do because it's not so insulting. The reason I won't insult someone directly on physical is that it's something they can't change. And I don't want to insult or mock something someone can't change, because the plan is that eventually I want them to win me over. And if I set it up that I don't like them for reasons they can't change, then it makes it impossible for them to win me over. It's also very close to home. Like, it tends to be very offensive and get a very, like, they can get very harshly low self-esteem, or if they have a negative reaction, it'll be a very big negative reaction. So I'll only do that in a context where there's a leeway to do it extremely playfully, and when it's not actually about the feature, it's just sort of implicitly about the feature. Also, by the way, this girl has really nice arms. Like, her whole body's actually really nice and very toned. So making fun of her muscle tone, it's not a real thing. If she had really bad muscle tone, first of all, I probably wouldn't be on a date with her, but I also wouldn't make fun of it. Yeah, it's like, in the 1990s when I grew up, I don't know, you're like, you're like nine.
It's
you're what,
not
nine?
that big of a difference. Well, okay, yes, but it's not.
Okay.
It's not.
So I don't know if we're gonna get along. It's just like the pop culture references. I'll say like some Saved by the Bell shit, and you'll be like, what is that?
I like Saved by the Bell. I'm not that.
What was it like growing up? What did we have? We had like Saved by the Bell, Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Mm-hmm. We had Animaniacs. I don't know if you have that. That was like the euphoria time. You're like, what is that?
No, that's what the three little.
Yeah, the three little cartoony mice things.
WB or something like that. Yeah, I remember that.
All right. Fair enough. What else? I'm trying to think like shows I would have known as a kid that you wouldn't. Like Family Matters, which is like you'd have to watch that on rerun because I watch that one on rerun. What are period ritual? Okay, Seinfeld. But you're old enough to know that.
You gotta find one that I don't know.
Are you like Miss Pop Culture? You probably know stuff I don't know from my time period in that case. I didn't even watch TV as a kid actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a nerd.
I started off as a nerd.
Yeah?
Not even. I was like a little tomboy, actually.
Lightning legs, tomboy.
Even my girlfriend, she's like, you've changed since high school. Like, I was like a tom, like not a tom, but I like wearing sneakers. Like now, I don't wear any sneakers unless I'm working out, and I'm just much more girly. So it's like, you've changed, but in a good way.
You have the most adorable facial expressions right when you finish sentences. Like you finish and then
doing my eyebrow thing.
I don't know. Before I start note, I hadn't even looked at your eyebrows since whatever. But
well, the last time I saw you were like, "Can you stop doing that with your eyebrows?" I don't know what I was.
Is that why you're wearing your hair over your face? You're like covering one of them.
You can see this.
Wait, let me see. Let's see what we're gonna.
Yeah.
Right, now I can tell you. Perfect. Now I can actually see what we're working with.
Hopefully I'm not doing the eyebrow thing.
Okay.
Usually, I don't know, maybe I was just a bit sassy that night. I was party girl that night.
I have no objections to sassy. So
Sassy is good.
here's a before your time. It's before my time too, though. So there was once upon a time a man named Walter Winchell. Walter Winchell, not Windshield. Like Winchell's donut, like Winchell. He didn't the guy, but anyway. Winchell. Yeah,
Okay.
Walter Winchell. And he was possibly the most influential news person of all time. So he was, before TV, like he was like the king of radio during World War II, basically. Anyway, long-winded story to get to nothing, but he had this phrase. He said, "You can say anything about me, no matter how mean or how harsh, as long as it's clever enough to put in my column." I like that. I'm like, look, if you can be however sassy you want, as long as it's clever sassy.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna be sassy, you better not be boring. Because if you're sassy and boring, it won't work.
Hopefully I'm not bored.
So here she is being like false modest, right? She's basically doing my little move, the humble brag. Hopefully I'm not boring, right? And my response to that is I just repeat part of it. She goes, hopefully I'm not boring. I go, hopefully, right? And so that's kind of like the countermeasure. If you look at it, it's like every technique, there's like a next level technique to deal with it. So she just humble bragged on me. So my way of dealing with it in this case to like maintain the frame and not let her like make it a cocky statement is I just repeat it after her. I just in agreement with her. I go, hopefully, right? It's a little sort of meta technique, right? It'd be like if I was like, yeah, I would hope I'm not boring. And she goes, yeah, I would hope so, right? It maintains the frame because the humble brag is a powerful frame control technique. Now, how much do I think she's actually thinking all these things? Not necessarily that much. And to be fair, when I'm doing these things, it's more instinctive and from practice as well. It's not like I'm thinking through all these different things. But it is a great little method to maintain the frame. And it falls into the category, which I've mentioned a few of the breakdowns, of the power of repeating back what she said. Right? There are so many instances where I always say like the less invested or the less effortful technique in game is the most powerful. Pretty much the least effortful conversational technique is repeating back what she just said. But anytime that you can make your point by just repeating back what she just said, it's usually a powerful technique to use.
Hopefully.
I said hopefully. I just, I mean, you seem all right so far, but I only know you a little bit.
I'm not boring.
Okay.
Let's see.
What I was going to say
I was about to say something.
Hold on.
No, you can go.
I have the right of way?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I was going to say is you have like the most adorable expressions.
Yeah.
Right before you start talking and right after you finish talking. Like, yeah. The after you finish one is my favorite. Because it's like you just gave like a book report or something like that and you like look over the teacher like, teacher, was that good?
Was that good?
Was that okay? Do you approve?
Approval. I seek approval.
A little bit.
What's up? Learning about myself.
So I've mentioned pointing out that she's seeking approval in the other sort of layers of this breakdown. So I won't get into that again. What I want to point out here is the other thing I did, which I call desexualizing the girl a little bit, which is you compare the girl to something that's non-sexual. So if you compare the girl to a little kid, that's something that doesn't have any sexual power over you, right? So you're putting her in the frame of something that doesn't have any sexual power. In a way, earlier, the Vanna White comment that I did, where I was comparing her to like a 60, 70-year-old Vanna White. In a way, Vanna White is a sex symbol, but it's like a 60 to 70-year-old like kind of aging sex symbol that doesn't really have her power anymore. It's the same idea. And so it's not a direct insult, and it's not a negative in any way. It's just a cute thing. But you're indicating that you're not overawed by the girl. And especially with really hot girls that are used to guys that can't even hold their shit together with them, if you put them in the frame of they're like a little girl or like a cute little puppy or something, or like a teddy bear, these things that don't have sexual power but are still positive, cute things, it can be a very useful frame. I call it desexualizing her. That's cute though.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's very, there should be a word for like little kiddish. I don't know a word for that. Like, cause any word I can think of that sounds that way, it sounds negative, which it's not. Like if I said immature, that sounds negative. Pure? Yes, it's very pure. That's what I was thinking of.
Not the word, but it's like the closest thing to children. Pure.
I almost want to say like precocious. It's not quite right, but it's like, yeah, no.
Halfway there.
Halfway,
Halfway there. We're done. Need another drink. I actually hate those cherries.
Do you really?
Yeah, I hate those cherries.
I think about the first person I've ever met that hates them, but fair enough.
Yeah, I like the red cherries. Those are like something else. I
Like
forget
Bing
what it
cherries?
is.
Like Bing cherries?
I guess is that the name of it? It's like the dark red one.
The ones you buy in the supermarket with pits in them and you eat
Yeah.
around the pit? Yeah, it's Bing cherries, usually.
Bing.
Bing, B-I-N-G.
Okay.
These are like maraschino cherries.
Yeah. My family, they soak those in moonshine and like serve them at every single cookout that we have, or like party or something. And like people like just like eat them and get fucked up.
That's awesome.
They're so strong and nasty.
Well, those are also like completely doused in alcohol. It might be a little different when they're not like completely soaked in it.
Let me see. I feel like they do them for at least like 6 months. Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically at that point more alcohol than cherry.
Definitely more alcohol than cherry. Like you open it and you like smell it. Moonshine. So gross. Wow. You're thinking.
Just listening.
No, you're thinking. What are you thinking?
I was thinking how adorable that look you just gave me was, and how it's similar to the look I used to have when I was a kid and I wanted to like cute my way out of trouble. It's the teacher, I didn't do anything. I'm shy and innocent look.
Well, when I feel like I'm in trouble, I look at you and I'm like, what? Just keep asking.
I'll keep that in mind if you ever get yourself in too much trouble.
Yeah.
I like this, by the way.
What? Oh yeah.
Little detail.
Little detail.
It makes your shirt go, a little more sexy, a little less boring. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's plain, all black, long sleeve. I pull the sleeves up or whatever. Throw a scarf around my neck.
Fashion. Oh man. Okay.
This isn't really like. I dress way better than this. To be honest. But this morning I was just like, I was gonna throw anything on and
I told you, just do you. Don't try and be perfect. So just do you. Don't try and be perfect. It's better this way. I mean, what if like you put your like most perfect foot forward and like we weren't naturally designed to like each other and I liked you because you were just and then it just turns out we both get disappointed later. Who wants that?
no one.
So yeah, just please don't disappoint me. Okay?
I'm not trying to be perfect.
You are a little bit.
No.
A little bit.
No. Not even a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
I do like that. Although it's better. That's better. But like when it's
like my
you like
hair.
does that does that not like just bother you though when it's like you're like viewing the world through one eye?
No, but it's like my eyes are here.
Okay.
I can see you.
I used to have like long hair, and I know that I always like hated that when I
How
was
long was your hair? Really?
at one point. Yeah.
Did you do the ponytail?
Only in the gym sometimes when I needed to, but no, wore it down. Yeah, I never did it across my face, but I did it like kind of like tapered back, but like long in the whatever, and then like falling all like fluffy and beautiful.
Does Thor have long hair?
Thor, yeah, okay.
Okay. Was it like that?
Kind of ish, actually. Although, I think I'm pretty attractive. I'm not that attractive, all right? Like, don't get any idea. I know. Like, you're like picturing me all like, sexy and naked. Just like, don't even go. I'm just Todd. I'm not Thor. I'm just Todd. I'm just some cute white boy from Colorado. That's as far as it goes.
Oh, you're from Colorado?
I am.
Okay. I have a girlfriend. My family has like a place there. So pretty. So nice.
It is nice. Have you been?
No.
I'm gonna just not ask you these questions. Whenever you say a place, I'll be like, have you been? I just don't.
I've been nowhere. I've been to Cali.
Okay, that's somewhere. It's the other side of the country. It's far away.
Vermont.
Okay.
All on the East Coast. Every single state. Don't have any freedom.
So I'm not making any promises because I just met you. If we hang out, you're gonna go places. Okay.
We're gonna go places.
I don't mean like in some kind of deep, like metaphorical, like us. I just meant like physically. We'll try, like, because I travel a lot, so you're gonna have to. So you'll deal with it.
I'll have to call out sick.
We'll figure it out. We'll come up with a creative hook. You'll do like some Ferris Bueller's Day Off shit and whatnot. It'll be good.
Bad liar.
Either that, or we'll just get you like working for yourself. Whatever.
Working for myself.
I'll entrepreneur you.
Actually,
Yeah.
I do plan on launching.
That is one of the things you told me that I didn't know May, but like one of the things you told me that actually like impressed me a little about you. I was like, oh, silly little ditzy, funny girl. But then like I was like, this girl's actually like kind of legit. Like a bit of a
Silly,
dreamer.
ditzy, funny girl. Ditzy. Oh,
You have to take into account the context in which I met you. All right, it's not like I met you at a banking convention. So what I want to talk to you about here is, what do you do when you step over the line a little bit with a tease, or what do you do when a tease is received in a negative way, or even most teases, they should never be brought to the attention, right? They should be like this underlying kind of subtext that isn't brought up in conversation. It just kind of happened and it's gone and it had its emotional impact and it's forgotten. When the teasing gets brought up, or especially when there's an objection to the tease, how do you dig your way out of it? Well, a lot of good ways are these sort of like, how could I know? I don't know you that well yet. Maybe I'm wrong, or I'm sure you'll impress me later, or you have to take into account the context I met you. So these kind of factors that could weigh into your having that sort of perspective about them that are not actually related to them. Remember, I never tease on anything that's directly related to them. So I don't tease on their intelligence. I'll tease on their ditzy or silly because they can change their attitude or change the way they're portraying themselves, but I won't be like, you're stupid. Or I never do on a physical feature because they can't really change a physical feature. Excuse me, but I will tease them on anything and everything else, and then it's always contextual. So it can be like, you're casual, it's fine. Or, in that situation, how else was I to know? Or, I've known you for all of 5 minutes, relax. I'm sure you'll, impress me later. It's a good way to backtrack, a good way to get out of it. Because again, teasing is never insulting. Teasing is never meant to actually hurt someone's self-esteem or injure someone on a personal level. It's meant to make the vibe playful, and it's meant to be like a form of like subtle frame control, but it's not meant to actually be an attack.
No, you didn't.
So,
Okay.
You had to overcome
I get
stereotypes.
when I'm drunk.
I mean, you were cute. Obviously, I didn't hate you. If I hated you, I wouldn't have talked to you for, a fraction as long as I have.
Yeah.
But, no, that was one of the first things that actually, like, I was like, okay, this girl's maybe, like,
Yeah.
I like people with ambition.
I'm goals.
Like, I would prefer, and this is funny, so I lived in LA for a while. And in LA, there's all kinds of people with, like, crazy pipe dreams that'll never come true, right? But that said, I would prefer to hang out with someone that has a dream that'll never happen than to hang out with someone who's like forgotten how to dream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get it.
I'm
That's
not,
why my surroundings have changed.
yeah.
Yeah. And I have a very, very small circle.
You should like look through your hand. You have a circle of one.
Circle of one.
It's not a circle.
No,
That's like geometry. That's a point.
Well, shut up. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I only have like, I would say 3 girlfriends that I'm like that I would tell like anything to. That's it.
Would you get along better with guys or girls?
I would say guys. I don't know. I feel like just because I used to be like a little tomboy girl, I connect more with guys than I do with girls. And I'm not the drama type of person, so I don't really like girls.
Fair enough.
They're a pain in the ass. Do you watch sports? Which sports?
I'm surprised you can see me like looking that way. You have good peripheral vision.
Yeah, I do.
I'm like nodding. I'm like, she's not even looking at me. I'll just keep nodding until she sees. That sport, a lot.
Soccer.
I played that sport very, very, very seriously for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, like when I was 5 years old, I decided I want to play professionally. And you know how like every kid says that to their friends, like, Daddy, I want to be in the major leagues.
Are you listening? Not making a decision?
You know what we look like right now? We look like the couple that's been like married for 10 years and is like so tired of each other, they're just on their phones the whole time.
It's gonna. I can't find it. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Hold on. I feel like, but these are just boys.
Look like, yeah.
Oh.
Dear Diary, I met this girl and she seemed like she was really sweet and cute and smart and had her act together. And then I realized the smart and had her act together part was completely off base. But
It's the drink.
yeah,
Damn smart.
the Dear Diary line, I really like it. I use it a lot. I don't know why. It's kind of like a way of softening something, right? So instead of just saying like, you seem like a total diss, I'd be like, Dear Diary, I was talking to this girl and she seemed cool, but it turned out that, right? It's just another softener. Because again, teasing should be lighthearted. And so when the tease is potentially something offensive or something that might do too much damage or be received negatively, it's just another way of making it more playful, of distancing it from yourself as though it's not you saying it to her. So it's just one more way of softening a tease. I totally believe it. So you may have heard me say a lot of, sure, yeah, sure, yeah, I totally believe you. And the reason for these is, again, it's the least effort. So when the girl says something to justify herself, you say, yeah, sure. Yeah, I totally believe you. Yeah, okay. Okay is another one. Okay. And so what you're doing is you're being agreeable, but you're being agreeable in this sort of like slightly condescending, slightly sarcastic way, which is kind of saying, I don't believe you, even though you're saying you do believe them. And again, the nice thing about this, you're teasing them, but if they're like, what do you mean? Like, no, I was agreeing with you, right? So it has a way out. So all these teases, they have a way to backtrack, they have a way out, so they're like internally calibrated, right? If you overdid it, there's a built-in calibration mechanism so you didn't overdo it. While you're doing that, would you like another drink? Because I don't think there's going to be more opportune, While you're done looking for, while you're busy looking for yourself, do you want me to, because I don't think there's going to be a more opportune time for me to get a drink without it like disturbing our conversation. Since you're going to be on there for 10 more minutes finding yourself.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to be on here for 10 minutes. I'm just wondering why this is athletics.
So gin and tonic then? All right.
I'll be off when you get back.
We'll
not
see.
kidding.
I'll race you. So here, when you said I'll be off by the time you get back, I don't know if you caught this. My mind immediately raced to the idea of getting off and making a joke about it. But I feel at this time that would have been uncalibrated. She already likes me. Things are ramping up. The sexual vibe is there, but it's not that blatant. And if I were to jump too far ahead just because it's clever or just because the misinterpretation's there, I think it could be miscalibrated, so I hold it back. And I am pretty obnoxious. I do like to be witty for the sake of being witty. I do like to misinterpret more things rather than less, and I'm definitely noticing them constantly. But sometimes, especially with something really brazen or really daring or really ballsy, think twice, because it's a lot easier to ramp up slowly and not make the mistake than it is to overshoot and have to apologize, right? I mean, I talk about constantly the ideas of invisible escalation verbally, invisible escalation physically. Make sure that, like, misinterpretation is great, but make sure that the misinterpretation you use is at the right pace for the interaction, right? If you just greeted her and she makes a misinterpretation that you could, like, misinterpret anal fisting or something like that, it's a little bit of a jump. It's a little bit of a gap. So misinterpretation is great, but just because I taught you the technique misinterpretation, that doesn't mean misinterpret everything, right? If it's useful to misinterpret and it's in the vibe of the interaction and it's calibrated to the interaction, by all means, but there's no rule that you have to misinterpret everything that can be misinterpreted. Okay, would you say you had it harder than average, average, or easier than average growing up?
I'll say average.
Is that a cop-out?
I would say average. Yeah.
Okay.
Why? Do you think it's something different?
No, I was just curious. If I had an answer to the question, I wouldn't ask it. I'd just know.
Well, some people ask anyway just to see what you're gonna say.
Yeah, they're called lawyers. Those are the people that ask questions they know the answers to.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just curious, because I was trying to assess your relative level of underdog mentality and spoiled mentality.
Do I sound spoiled?
You have a certain plucky underdogness to you, but you also do have a certain sort of, like, you carry yourself in a certain way that is indicative of a certain arrogance or swagger. That's an interesting combination. So that's why I asked.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was trying to see if one or the other of those was
If one outweighed the other.
no, if one was an obvious outgrowth of, like, or if you identified really strongly one way.
No.
So I always identified as, like,
Average.
I was very lucky. Not that, like, things were given to me, but I was very lucky to be born with a lot of talent and with really, really good parents. And then, so nothing super specific here, but I want to make the point, it's come up a few times and I haven't pointed it out in this interaction, the value of storytelling, right? The value of storytelling in general and the value of telling your own personal story. When you're asked factual questions or you're asked biographical questions, instead of just answering with logic, answer with a story. If you want to make a point, use a story. Stories are one of the most powerful forms of communication we have as human beings, because in order for someone to understand a story, they have to put themselves into the story and they have to have an experience. And for this reason, stories can convey value and comfort at the same time, right? You're having an experience together, a shared experience. You're spending time together. You're opening up to someone. That's all comfort. You're conveying positive qualities. You're demonstrating good verbal abilities. You maybe, if you teach somebody something or give someone an epiphany, that's huge. So there's an opportunity to develop or display value at the same time. So it's value and comfort at the same time. And there are very few things you can do in game that are value and comfort at the same time. Stories are one of them, so they're massively, massively powerful. Most guys tell far too few stories to girls. Like, I think what I got out of life I earned beyond that, but I just had such a big head start that it just, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It made sense.
Good for you.
Thanks, Mom. Anyway, good
Mom.
for you.
Do I sound like a mom?
No, you sounded like a guidance counselor.
A guidance counselor. Oh gosh.
Are you gonna tell me, like, what to do with my life to make myself happy and better?
No. I think you know that by now.
I think I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
And you?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing okay. What?
So what I want to point out here is the power of silence and the power of strong eye contact with the right vibe behind it. Because yes, I set up the kiss in all these good ways, which I've talked about in the previous segments. But the other thing that I did is I just shut up and I built the sexual tension. And you'd be shocked how often just like staring the girl in the eyes, or eyes and lips, having a bit of a feeling in your body and a bit of a vibe of, I find you attractive, it'd be nice to kiss you, how much that sort of transfers onto the girl and how much that will just set the right type of mood, right? So just gazing intently, gazing slightly sexually at the girl and shutting up is a very, very, very powerful technique. It's not technically a verbal technique, but I guess silence is verbal, right? So having these strong silences is very, very useful.
You're thinking. I can tell.
I was thinking,
looking at you.
I like the modesty.
What?
Combines. The modesty combined with the look that immediately followed the modesty, which was so cocky.
Cocky? I'm not cocky.
It was somehow cocky and intimate at the same time. That's hard to do.
Is it?
It is.
No.
I'm impressed. Point I want to make here is how I sort of talked through the kiss. Similar to in some of the other clips I've mentioned, when I'm walking the girl back up to my room, I kind of talk through it, so it's not a big deal what's happening. In this way, I talk through the kiss. But here, actually, what I'm doing is, I'm talking through it, but also I'm talking through it in a way which is actually increasing the sexual tension or enhancing the vibe as well. So that's very helpful. Not necessary. Don't think that it's like super complicated to kiss. You have to do all these things right to get a kiss or whatever. It's not like that at all. But these are just little fine details that can help enhance both the kiss and also the framing around the kiss. Because when I think of physical escalation or kissing, I never think of it as like something to do just to do it. I think of it in terms of how does it enhance the interaction, or does it enhance the interaction?
Are you messing up my hair?
I don't think you can.
Yes, I can.
I think I think if I got it wet, it would get messed up really fast. But I think as long as it's dry, it'll stay pretty good.
My hair's curly.
I know. I can tell.
It's wavy, actually.
You'd be genetically very strange if it wasn't, actually, to be fair.
Pretty much. But yeah.
But as long as it stays straight, it'll stay pretty good. I think.
Yeah. You can get a little crazy.
Oh, look, come on. Can you see on it? You like that? That's kind of fun to do.
I'm sure it is.
I like the
For most
reaction.
guys.
I'm sorry to be so common.
They love to pull hair.
They love to pull hair.
You would think girls would like to pull hair more than guys.
You guys don't have much hair to pull usually. I will say when my hair was long, I certainly liked a little pull here and again.
You can pull your
Yeah, you can give me a, like, unfortunately I got it cut recently. Before you could really pull it.
Just
Now
like
you
buzz
can kind
in
of
the
pull
back?
it. Not like buzz, but it's like a little bit like, it's fairly short.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a week or two. I'll give you something to hang on to. But, not just yet.
Very, very cocky, Todd.
Who, me? I was just talking about my hair. I don't know what you're talking about. I get a straightforward question, I give a straightforward answer.
Okay. Well, that's good. Straightforward is good.
For the most part. So a couple things there, just a lot of little subtle things. First one is, does this feel good? Do you like this? That kind of thing. As a good way to solidify something you know she already is enjoying, right? Because again, it's about taking the emotional and turning it logical. It's a very big thing, getting her to make that decision. And then the other thing I want to point out, I've pointed out before, but I really want to make the point because so many guys, they're not calibrated because, one, they don't know where they're at, but two, they make these like, when they escalate in such obvious, blatant ways that there's no going back, right? Here, because I'm escalating not directly, but I'm escalating by implication, I'm escalating like a little more subtly, or by, they call it entendre, by implying sex. Because of all that, I can always back out. So when she calls out, she's like, very, very cocky, Mr. Todd, then I can, back out and be like, I was just talking about hair, I don't know what you were thinking, right? And it kind of is another misinterpretation layer where it's like, oh, she's the one that sexualized it, right? So I always have a way out based on the fact that I'm escalating through these formats that have a way out built into them. What are you most competitive at?
I don't know. I think it depends. I think it depends on the person and the event, whatever is going on. I always want to be best dressed, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now I'm laughing, but it's okay. It's a very casual. But your eyebrows, you're doing the eyebrow thing.
You say so.
You did. You were just like,
Could you say that again, just the way you just did it? It's a very good non-specific tease whenever they do anything silly or weird and you don't really know. You know it was silly or weird, you know it's tease-worthy, but you don't have a tease for it. You're just like, could you do that again, just the way you just did it? Right? It's a good, like, kind of universal, if you can't think of anything better, it works kind of a tease. What are you most competitive at?
I don't know. I think it depends. I think it depends on the person and the event, whatever is going on. I always want to be best dressed, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now I'm laughing, but it's okay. It's a very casual. But your eyebrows, you're doing the eyebrow thing.
You say so.
You did. You were just like,
Could you say that again, just the way you just did it? I don't know if I can even hit that note.
yeah, my voice gets a little squeaky. My old roommate, she would always say, every time when you would get like really happy or you would get like drunk or whatever or tipsy, your voice goes from here to here. It gets really squeaky.
You like Mickey Mouse, or I guess Minnie Mouse. Let's give you the female mouse. We'll give you the female mouse.
Yeah. I don't feel like Mickey his voice doesn't get high. Not that high.
As guys go, yeah. I mean, he walks around looking. It sounded like he got kicked in the balls all the time. Like he's up there.
But not as high.
Not as high as Minnie. Minnie's even higher.
I feel like, yeah.
I wish I could do a Mickey Mouse voice, but I'm kind of glad I can't. To be fair.
I don't think I can do it either, so it's okay. No.
Je ne sais. As they say in French. Je ne sais?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's French for I don't know.
It kind of sounds like yo no sé.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's similar.
I thought that's what it was, but I thought I'd ask before
So, like,
I make myself look stupid.
Have you heard, here's a fashion term for you. Je ne sais quoi. Have you heard that?
Yeah. But I don't know what it means.
You know what that means?
No.
Oh, woman, I'm gonna give you like, I'm gonna My Fair Lady you, basically. Do you know what that means? You have any idea what that means? No.
I'm gonna My Fair Lady you, whatever you just said.
Yeah, you have any idea what that means? No. Okay. So My Fair Lady is a play from like way back in the day.
A play. Okay.
It's a play.
Yeah.
It was made into a movie, but it's a play originally.
Uh-huh.
Premise of the play is this. There's these two guys and they're like linguists. They're like language experts. And they make a bet basically. This one guy's, his contention is that everything, your success in life is all about how you talk and present yourself. That's it. Right? If you talk and present yourself the right way, you'll be treated a certain way, you'll get things in life. Right? And so he start off the movie by saying like he goes around to everybody and he can tell them within like 3 blocks where they grew up based on how they talk, because he's just like, he knows the language and ins and outs and whatnot. So he makes a bet with the other linguist that he can take this like girl who's essentially like some combination of like beggar / flower sales girl on the street and can like pass her off in royal court as royalty.
Yeah.
Within like 6 months or something like that, right? And they do it all by like teaching her to talk and teaching her like how to etiquette and carriage and all that kind of stuff.
I feel like there's been a movie and I've seen this.
There's probably been like follow-up movies of it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the movie like She's All That is kind of an offshoot of My Fair Lady in a way. Right? It's like turn the nerdy girl cool. In any case, I'll teach you the like little French expressions that are gonna make you seem classy.
Make me super classy.
Super classy. So classy. So the first one you should learn though, which is je ne sais quoi, because it's actually something that I thought when I met you. 114-06-15. All right, so this is gonna sound really, really highbrow. Deal with it though. There is value in just being good with language. In the same way there's good value in being good at anything. If you're good at cooking, display it. If you're good at athletics, display it. If you're good with words, display it. And also, if you can get good at things, by all means do. All right? This is the highbrow part. I went to a really, really good high school, like ridiculously good high school. And my English teacher, some kid asked him, why do we have to learn vocabulary? And he said, because every time you open your mouth, you identify yourself as a member of the ruling class, which is maybe not the most politically correct thing to say, but he does have a point, which is that when you speak the right way, when you use certain words, automatically people assume that you are educated, assume that you're intelligent, et cetera, et cetera. This whole je ne sais quoi thing and knowing a play as opposed to a movie, little things like that, they make me seem a little bit more educated, a little bit more classy, a little bit less attainable, those kind of things. Now, if you're not the greatest at these things, I'm not suggesting you like go read a dictionary or something like that. That's not necessary. But what I am suggesting is in whatever ways that you can improve the way that you present yourself, whether it be verbally, whether it be fashion and style, whether it be appearance, take advantage of them and then emphasize and highlight them because everybody's good at different things. You might not be as verbally good as I am, but you might be really good in the gym, or you might be really into a particular hobby, and when you discuss that hobby, you're clearly an expert. So think about the things you do naturally well and the things you can learn to do well, and use those skills to your advantage, whatever they may be. This is probably going to be a really like severe compliment, but deal with it, okay? So je ne sais quoi means I don't know what. Literally it means I don't know what, okay? But the way it's used, they say that person has that certain je ne sais quoi. It means they have that certain like special characteristic.
But you don't know what it is?
Yeah, that certain intangible quality you can't put your finger on that sets them apart in a good way. It's a je ne sais quoi.
Okay.
So when I met you, I thought you were ditzy and silly and kind of whatever. But I was like, she has a little je ne sais quoi about her.
Okay.
Compliments can be cheesy or they can be powerful. A compliment that she's heard a million times before that took no effort or thought is cheesy. A compliment that she's never heard before that's unique and presents a side of her that she wasn't even aware of or presents something that's new knowledge to her can be incredibly powerful. So this right here was a very unique compliment. In fact, in order to give the compliment, I had to teach her something before I could even give her the compliment. That's a powerful compliment, and that's a compliment that she feels she's earned because it's unique and because it's very specific to her, right? So compliments can be powerful, but they have to be earned compliments. Also, they need to be given from the right frame, not from an overawed frame, but from the frame of a high-value guy is giving you this compliment.
I guess in order to like hit the head on a nail, you have to
Hit the what?
head on the nail.
I mean, I guess that's technically correct. Usually said the other
it?
way. It's usually nail on the head.
Oh, nail.
It's still correct. I mean, it is the head of the nail you're hitting, so it's not wrong. It's just unusual.
That's funny. Oh my god. I'm gonna laugh about this later.
I mean, a couple of things here. Number one, again, if you are good with language, you can use that as power, right? If the fact that I happen to know the idiom and say it and she doesn't, that kind of stuff. I know there's a famous, a well-known set of another one of our instructors where the girl goes, oh, you kiss good. And he looks at her and goes, I kiss well, right? And it's just another like in your face, show of value kind of a thing. So it's pretty powerful in that regard. But the other thing I want to point out here is where she said, I'll laugh about this later, I'll laugh about this tomorrow or something like that. That's showing, like, it's not a big deal at all, right? I'll laugh about this tomorrow. That's showing how wound up she is, how emotional she is about portraying herself in such a good way, and how, like, readily she gets embarrassed by saying the wrong thing around me, right? That's a massive, massive indicator if you look at the subtext that she's really, really, really cares about my opinion of her. And again, that's what we're seeing over and over and over again from this girl, is she really, really, really cares what I think of her. She really cares what I think of her. She's viewing me as a source of validation. And that's one of the key things for a girl to have sex with you, qualifying herself to you and viewing you as a source of validation. If those two things are in place, you're doing a lot of things really, really, really right. So look for signs like that. If a Russian girl calls a guy like Zaychik, it means like bunny, but it means like in like a very endearing, like bunny I would sleep with. It's weird. I don't know, I don't understand. But anyway, I dated a Russian German girl for a few years.
Yeah.
So that's like I won't get into it. At certain times she would say, "I lublю Zaychik." Just say.
So you were a bunny.
I'd appreciate it if you didn't imagine me in bed right now.
I wasn't.
Uh-huh. I can tell by your blushing that you weren't.
No, I wasn't.
Are you hiding your face right now?
A little bit. Because you said I was blushing. I don't think I was.
I mean, it's hard to tell. I don't think your skin tone changes that much when you blush, but I tell from the expression.
No, it may. A little bit.
A little bit, but it's not exactly the best lighting either.
No, it's not. Just
It'd be better if I was here, I could tell by like temperature. I need to get a little flush and like warm. You do feel warm.
Am I?
A little bit.
I'm a warm-hearted person.
Uh-huh.
What? That look.
What look?
The look you're giving me. It's like you're thinking something.
What would you like me to be thinking?
I just want to know what you're thinking.
I was thinking that you're kind of adorable when you get flustered.
Am I?
Adorable or flustered?
Both.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah?
Maybe.
You love moving my hair out of my face. I like it in my face. Oh, you're just... So, with you traveling, like how long are you like in the States?
Like in the States as like an entire country, or how long am I in any city I travel to, or what do you mean?
Like in New York.
It depends. During the summer I traveled a lot. During the winter I'm not going to travel as much because places aren't as hospitable, so I don't want to go to them. I would say typically I'm in New York something like 2.5 weeks out of the month, and then like traveling a week and a half out of the month, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Usually, I mean, I had some lengthy spells recently, but just on average.
Don't laugh at me.
I'm not laughing. I am laughing near you.
Near me.
So that line, I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing near you, that's actually stolen from a line that Robin Williams says in the movie Dead Poet Society as of, I think like this movie's like 20 years ago or something like that. But I stole the line and nobody caught me stealing. It's not a big deal. It's totally fine, whatever. It's a lot easier to have creative lines by learning them from other people than it is to make them all up yourself. Now, obviously, the ones that you make up yourself are going to be the most congruent for you, so that's a good thing. However, anything that you hear from someone else that actually strikes you as interesting or funny or insightful or something like that, in a weird way, it's like you own it vicariously. You own it because you appreciated it and because you resonated with it, right? Any language you resonate, any phrase you resonate with, any joke you resonate with, even if you didn't come up with it, in a way it's yours because the fact that you enjoyed it makes it congruent for you. So I wouldn't suggest going and stealing lines from every pickup artist you know and using them in game. I think that's stupid. But if there are particular lines that you really think resonate with you and convey your personality and seem like they fit your style, by all means, feel free to use those. Also, feel free to use lines from movies, books, TV, plays, comedians, whatever. And just increase your repertoire. And my philosophy and all that is I don't want to go in with a bunch of things planned out to say, because as you've seen, most of the things that I'm saying and doing is coming from observing and interacting with the girl and then going as a spin-off from that. So I don't want to have things too structured and planned out, but the greater your repertoire is, the greater the amount of potential lines and ideas and techniques you have, in your head that are readily usable, that you're familiar with. When the right time to use one of them comes up, you're more likely to have it available on the tip of your tongue. So I'm a big fan of increasing your repertoire, whether you use all of it all the time or not.
I said head on the nail.
You did.
I'm so stupid.
Not stupid.
Silly. What's in here?
It's a $1 million question. What's through the red door?
Yeah.
Are you a curious
Red
person?
door.
Are you an innately curious person?
Somewhat, yes.
Are you an innately trusting or distrusting person?
I don't think I'm trusting.
Good to know.
I would hope so.
Are you a trustworthy person?
Yes.
So at some point, not right now, but at some point, like maybe later this evening or in the future, I felt as though I wanted to open up to you and tell you about myself, and you'd be a worthy recipient of such information and trustworthy.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Yes.
So that's what we call seeding the pull. And let's look at the process that I just did there. First of all, I qualified and screened her a few times. So I'm specifically screening for things that are along the lines of, will she be ready to go home with me? And equally importantly, she's saying yes along the way. So she's qualifying, jumping through the hoops, living up to the standards I'm setting out for her. So those are the two criteria. I do that actually 3 times here, 3 different questions. She says yes to all of them. And then what I do is I suggest the plans as a hypothetical, saying we won't do it now, but maybe in the future, which means there's no risk to it. There's no risk to me in saying it because I haven't made it an offer yet. And there's no risk to her in saying yes because there's no obligation yet because it's this future plan, not a current thing. All right, so I'm setting up a scenario where she can say yes very easily, and I'm also setting up a scenario where if she says no, it's not a big deal. But I'm getting most of the same information as if I just flat out asked it, right? So I'm getting all this information, almost the same information as if I was like, hey, let's get out of here, let's go do something right now. But I'm asking it in a way she's more likely to say yes to, and I'm asking it in a way where there's no real rejection possible, so it can't send the interaction backwards, and it can't really mess things up, all right? That's seeding the pull. So, so, so valuable as a technique. Learn it, use it, live it. Interesting.
The best people have small circles. I have a small
You have like a circle of one?
a circle of 1. No, a circle of 4. They're my girlfriends.
Sweet, that's called a square.
No!
I'm sorry.
Points on a circle.
I'm pretty sure you can't play connect the dots with 4
No,
points
you
and make a
can't.
circle.
You can't.
But-
I mean, if you don't use straight lines, it would be arched a little bit.
So if you're a little crooked, you can pull it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's not good. Crooked Hillary. No, well, I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow, all right.
No, you can't be crooked. Arched. Where's the ladies' room?
I feel like it's probably...
Oh.
No, that's employees only. It might be one of those two, or it might be in the lobby. I'm not sure.
I don't think it's employees. So that says employees. The next one says employees, and then the other one has like a red light behind it.
Yeah, don't go in the red light room. I've been to Amsterdam. That shit's like, that ain't for you.
What's in the red room?
In Amsterdam, they have the red light district. That's where like all the... That's where like the legalized prostitution happens. So like all the girls are in like little red rooms with like their red lit backgrounds.
Oh.
So that's why I said don't go in that anyway.
Yeah. No. Good to know, though.
I would say check the lobby or... Yeah, check the lobby. It's your best bet. Oh, you trust me. I like this.
Should I take it with me?
You can trust me. I have more to lose than to gain.
More to lose than to gain. Okay. This lotion smells good.
Is it yours or is it like what was in the bathroom?
It's in the bathroom.
Is it?
It smells like lemons or lemongrass or something. I should have read it.
Fair enough.
Did you say awkward?
I said fair enough. Did you say awkward? Is that what you said?
I thought that's what you said.
Nah.
You were like awkward. Fair enough.
I said okay, fair enough. But,
okay.
Fair enough. I don't think you'll ever really hear me say that. Awkward. Yeah, because I don't usually feel awkward about things. Does that make sense?
Good.
I'm usually pretty like, whatever I did was...
It's either this or this.
Well, it's like, A, whatever happened, it's in the past, but B, whatever I did was probably the best I knew to do at the time, so let's just go with it. Is that fair?
Yes.
Interesting point I want to make here is something I call narration, right? And what narration basically means is you're presenting the thoughts in your head. You're presenting your philosophy or your frame, etc. And this is something I actually do quite a bit, sometimes subtly, sometimes very overtly, depending on how necessary it is. It's not my favorite way to communicate something, usually, because it's less subtle, right? Again, the more subtle you can convey things in game, the less directly you can game, the better. But it still is subtle because you're conveying your frame in general rather than necessarily your frame about her. The key idea here, though, is you need to know what you believe, and you need to have an attractive frame. So my suggestion outside of field, sit down and think about what your beliefs are and why. And specifically think about what the beliefs you would have if you were the man if you were already the man you want to be. Right? If you were your perfect man who's good with girls, who girls love, what frames and ideas would you have in that context? And really sit down and spell those out. Even write it out as an essay or something like that. And take those ideas and have an understanding of it. Have a deep understanding of what those ideas are. And once you truly have those ideas, and once they're ideas you can stick by and you can believe in and you know they're attractive qualities, then those ideas, feel free to talk about them anytime. Feel free to share your philosophy with the girl and feel free to allow her to see your philosophy. Because once you're speaking from the right frame, it's almost hard to say the wrong things. Like the frame dictates the content within it, right? So if you're speaking from the right frame, from an attractive, valuable frame, almost anything you ramble out is going to come out high value. If you're coming from a low value frame, an insecure frame, a try-hard frame, it's going to be very hard to say good things because almost anything you come out with is going to be low value. All right. So really, really think about what the frame you would have if you were the man you want to be. Right? What are the things you believe? What are the philosophies you can espouse, especially the ones that are most attractive to women? And learn to live that philosophy, learn to understand that philosophy, and learn to be able to express that philosophy. Because if you do that, you'll always have something to say that's high value. There's one place I would take you, but it's like, I want to know you better first, kind of. It's the way, like, it was actually I was surprised to find it, and it's kind of like,
Where is it?
it's close, but you know, how do I know I can trust you? How do I know you won't, like, steal my kidneys and, sell them on the black market or something?
I leave.
So here what I'm doing is, again, I'm seeding the poll in the negative, talking about why why we wouldn't do this, why I can't trust her to go this place with me. I'm setting it up as something she has to earn. There's also something else I'm doing subtly when I'm doing this, is I'm very subtly implying it's a private place, right? Because when I'm saying, can I trust you not to steal my kidneys, this, that, and the other, well, if it's as public as the place we're in, there's nothing more risky about it. Does that make sense? I'm not saying it's a private place. I'm not saying it's one-on-one. I'm not saying that it's a place where, things could happen to someone. But the implication is there by me being afraid or less trusting or those kind of things, all right? And so I am conveying to her what it is. And she's going to pick up on the message. You can tell by the way she responds later on when she comes back and like says, are we going to this place? She knows what it is because of those implications, but I never explicitly said it. Most guys are totally awful at this. They make it so blatant and so obvious that if the girl says yes, it makes her slutty. In this case, it's all being conveyed. All the information's there, but it's conveyed in such a subtle way that the girl has total plausible deniability. She did nothing slutty. It just happened. One step led to another, and it was this journey that she had no slutty part in, right? It was just a beautiful adventure that culminated in something amazing, right? If you can set that up, setting it up as a win for her and setting it up so that the information comes across in a way that she has no culpability whatsoever, you're going to do really, really well.
Girls will leave their phone anywhere.
Well, you left your purse too, which is like a whole other, like, that just means
My life is in there.
I mean,
No, it's not. Well, a little bit.
If I had run off with that, you have what, your iPhone and then like credit cards and stuff. So you'd have the hassle of reporting your credit card stolen and dealing with it.
Would you take my phone or would you take my bag?
Bag.
Huh?
Bag. I'd wrap it in my jacket so it doesn't look like I'm a man carrying a bag.
I mean, I'm sorry. Would you take my purse or my work bag?
Oh shit. I wouldn't actually. To be fair, I didn't realize that was down there, so it would have been the top one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's good that I can text from my computer.
That was sad. I don't think you're like I said. I have far more to lose than to gain. That's the thing is like. Okay, so here's something crazy. Like I don't know what this will make you think about me or not, but whatever. So I've always loved like movies with a little bit of like shadiness to them, like a little bit of like nefarious, live by your wits, con artist, poker bluff. This topic of conversation, I actually don't recommend. I don't think it's a good conversation topic. In general, I think it's likely to make girls a little less trusting of you, which is something you probably don't want. In this case, I did it for two reasons. One, I just genuinely wanted to talk about it, so I just talked about it. But the other thing is, the one benefit of it is it will put you more in the lover category and less in the provider category. If you seem more shady, more underworld, less like establishment-y and follow the rules and that kind of stuff, then it will put you more in the lover frame and less in the provider frame. So that is one benefit of this. That said, I don't know that it was necessary here, and I think like the risk to reward of saying that like you know, like kind of shady, underhanded things in terms of making a girl feel uncomfortable or making a girl distrust you, I don't think it's really worth it. I don't think this is a high percentage thing to do. It does have its upsides, but I really actually don't recommend it. But it's good to understand what the upsides are and what the downsides are, because that does give you like a deeper understanding of the way game works and how you should be thinking in game. Those kind of movies, right? Because like there's something very cool about like Ocean's 11 type movies or like older movie like The Sting or something like that. You're like, I don't know, Catch Me If You Can. Any of those like.
Oh, Catch Me If You Can. I know that one.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So.
Like with Leonardo. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. You're like, oh, Leo's in it. I got that shit. All right. So here, this is misinterpretation by metaphor. It's me putting myself in the same category as Leo, which is never a bad category to be in terms of attracting girls. But then the thing I want to point out is at the end here, when she was having that big reaction, instead of just talking through it or instead of just ignoring it, I made a point of mentioning it. And I didn't like hammer on the point or whatever, but I made a point of mentioning it because again, I've said this a lot of times and I'm going to keep hammering on it. Turn the emotional logical. Get that solid commitment. You want the girl to have logically decided in her head that she wants you. You don't want it to be this vague good feeling. You want her to have logically decided, I like this guy, I want this guy. Once that switch is flipped, so many things happen in your favor. I'm going to ask you, I have a question for you before I go, which is, when I return, you want to do another drink here, or I can take you somewhere else, but do I trust you?
Do you trust me? I don't know. That's up to you.
I'll think about it.
Think about it.
You're very cute though. I'll be back. So this is now the third time that I've soft closed without making the offer. right? Notice how it's a process, right? I have not taken a risk. I have not offered the plans. But now each and every time I do it, she's more bought into it. She's more viewing it as a win. She's more like, you'll think about it, right? She's viewing more and more validation in hearing a yes, that sort of stuff. And this is why when I come back, that she's going to be the one to bring it up, because now I've planted the idea in her mind, and now she's decided she wants it. So instead of me having to convince her, she's already made the decision. I just have to go along for the ride.
Why is it saying that 3 times? I hate Gmail.
Hi. Couple points I want to make here. Number one, I come back, and instead of being in this nice flirty mood, she's now reading work emails, right? That's not the greatest situation in the world. And a lot of guys would be like, and also I come back, she doesn't immediately drop her phone and give me her attention. A lot of guys would be reactive to that. A lot of guys would be annoyed and think, oh shit, whatever, now I have to get her back in the mood again. I'm just chill. I basically am of the frame that we already like each other, and I'm going to treat her the same way I would treat like a girlfriend. If I went to the bathroom when I was on a date with my girlfriend, and I came back and she was checking her phone, I wouldn't be offended by it. I wouldn't be worried. I wouldn't be worried that she wouldn't get off her phone and give her attention back to me as soon as she really reasonably could. It's not a big deal. But if you treat this sort of thing as a big deal, or like she's disrespecting you or whatever, and get butthurt about it, it can become a big deal very quickly. Secondly, I'm not going to like try and re-escalate things right away. I'm just going to like, you know, be assertive and a guy who deserves a good attention, a good response, but in a non-pushy way. So I just wait for her to be done. I look at her like, hi. And she's like, oh, hi. Puts her phone away, comes back into the frame. The other point I want to make, I've talked throughout this entire interaction about making the emotional logical, right? The problem with running an interaction through emotions is, say you do go to the bathroom and you come back and she's checking work emails. A lot of those emotions have left her body, and now you have to start over from square one. But because she's made logical decisions, because she's overtly chasing me, because she's decided in her head, not just emotionally, but logically, she wants me, she wants this, I can come back, the emotion can have died down, and she'll still chase me. That's awesome, right? This is how you get girls not to flake. This is how you get girls to act consistently around you. This is how you get girls where you can have a long date with them and you don't have to keep them hyped up the entire time, because they're going to start gaming you, right? They're viewing you as a prize, they're viewing you as validation, and that is not just attraction, it's like buy-in and commitment, and that lasts beyond the emotion. That transcends time, right? So that's extraordinarily powerful, and that's why I get lower flake rates than most people. That's why I'm so like predictable and high percentage with pulling girls home, both from a club and on a date. It's because I don't just stop at getting them emotionally aroused, I get those decisions from them, and that means that when the mood comes down, they still like me. So let's say, even at a nightclub, if you're party inside the club, and then quietly outside of the club, you happen to bump into them again, or you walk out of the club and the mood's down, a lot of guys have trouble with that because it feels like the energy's down, and girls like, oh, okay, well, night's over, let's go home. If you got the girl to make a commitment and like you, and decide she liked you and wanted you, you leave, it's quiet, and now, instead of you being like, oh, I have to get her pumped up and get her in the mood, she's like, oh shit, he looks bored, and she'll start gaming you and trying to get you in the mood and chasing you more, okay? It's so important to flip that switch from emotions to logic. That's the message I come back to, is I hate Gmail.
Well, at least I don't hate you.
Yeah, whatever. If you ever did hate me, I'd be okay with it. You can love me, you can hate me. Just don't be like blasé about me. Promise never to be ambivalent about me. Deal?
Deal. You don't want to shake on
You
it?
wanna like shake hands, like all businessy?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. Have you thought about I don't even know what you were thinking about.
So now she just logically agreed to a good frame, and now she's gaming me. She's asking me about the plans to go home. How good is that? That's what you want to have happen. And that's what happens when you seed the poll correctly, number one, and actually like do your groundwork. And then number two, when you have her liking you not just emotionally but logically, you go to the bathroom, you come back, it's a very chill vibe, it's very very logical. There's no bubbly emotions, but she still wants you, and she's still willing to do work for you.
Oh, taking me to wherever.
Earlier, but now you will?
A little bit.
All right, let me get the check, and then I'll take it. It's kind of like, it was kind of a surprise for me, actually. I whatever, I'll give you the whole denouement in a minute. That's another, there's a good
I
word.
have my jacket on, I'm so cold.
There's another French word for you.
What?
Denouement. Okay. I can't not narrate that in the verbal breakdown because it's just too fucking good. Like, it's just too clever. And it has a lot of good elements, right? It's sexual misinterpretation, yes. It's making conversation more interesting, absolutely, right? It's just making things a little more charged and fun and interesting, absolutely. It's also like being a little in love with the things that come out of your own mouth. It's being truly engaged in what's going on. So there's a lot of really great things there. There's no specific gamey lesson in that particular phrase, but the same thing that makes me come up with that phrase and appreciate the language and be paying that much attention is the same thing that allows me to pay attention to what the girl's saying, to read into what the girl's saying, and to be clever in a lot of ways that are very, very gamey. So I point it out as, I don't know, a lesson in the idea and philosophy that words matter, and that what you're saying, there is a difference between the right way to say it and the wrong way to say it. There's a difference between a better way to say it and a worse way to say it, and it's worth learning in game and in life. So I don't have a specific game lesson there, but I promise you, if you learn to be that good with language in general, you're going to be that good with language in game. Yeah, but I think it's denouement is the correct French pronunciation.
Moi.
Moi, like M-O-I. Moi. I have to grab my check. Give me a second. Yeah. Well, I feel like I have yet to see like the bottom half of your face.
Half of my face?
Like the bottom. There you go. No, I mean, I know I have, but like you keep going like under the.
It's because I like being. I like
freezing.
being like.
Snuggled up.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I mean,
I think.
if you're gonna know someone in something of an intimate capacity in New York in the winter, it's good if they like to snuggle up, right?
That's right.
It's kind of important in this city.
Yeah.
This ain't Miami.
Are you ready?
Ready as I'll be. Again, I want to make the point, who's pulling who here? Are you ready? Ready as I'll be. All right? I'm having my arm twisted to go up to my room with her. How good is that, right? This is what advanced game is supposed to look like. The girl is gaming you, the girl is chasing you, she's made her decision, and your work is done. That's the goal. That's the goal in game. The goal is not to push, 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 and have her eventually give in. I just really want to point that out.
My work bag. I hate carrying this.
Yeah, you like feel all heavy and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And like weird random shit. And so this falls in the category of weird random. Check this out.
Ow.
No, I know you're thinking. Just check this out. Come on. We're not going here, we're going here. Because this was a fucking total surprise to me, and it's kind of awesome. Look at that. How cool and random. I hope there's a light out here, actually. But how cool and random is this? It should be. So a lot of good lessons there. A lot about misinterpretation, subtlety, setting the frame, and sort of, I call it reverse game, but sort of like getting her to game you, getting her to ask you questions, seeding the idea of what you want to do, and then letting that seed develop in her mind rather than forcing anything. So I'm doing all the same things that you'd want to do, all the ideas of I want to escalate, I want to push towards sex, I want to move things forward, but I'm not doing them in the most obvious way. I'm doing them in a slightly more subtle way each and every step of the way. And by doing that, I don't face rejection, I make it her idea, and I'm able to be much, much, much more calibrated and attuned to where she's at. So it's a much more effective way to go. It seems slower. It seems like by being subtle instead of direct, you're going to go more slowly, but in fact, you'll go much faster because, again, as I've emphasized, by going slowly and going at the right pace, you don't hear the word no. The thing that slows you down is not moving forward slowly, it's coming to a stop or moving backwards. So that's what you want to avoid. Being slow and being patient is totally fine. In fact, it's probably the ideal way to game.